Ladies and gentlemen, food, health, news.
Hey, hello. I was going to do a pan pressure.
Guys? Oh wait, wrong show. Sorry. Where am
Hi.
I?
How are we? Yeah, this is weird. I'm usually having Pat holding my hand. How are we all doing? How are you, Magenta?
Oh, good. Work finished a little bit early, so thankfully I got home on time.
Did
Used
a bit of a chili?
in transport. It got me there on time, thank God.
Nice.
How was your day?
It's good. It's very busy. Actually, speaking of my day, can we all just give a big round of applause? Pucky is correct, right? Pucky to Pat, because I was standing in his shoes. I stood in his shoes. That's correct. Today, setting up the show, and the fact that he does this every day, well, I mean, Monday to Thursday, and then does all the stuff behind the scenes by himself is incredible. So I just want to give him a big pucky because that's a lot of work.
Honestly, I'm just looking at even my screen and I'm like, whew.
Yeah, all the technical stuff, all the stories, keeping up to date with everything. Yeah, it's amazing. So gotta acknowledge that. But today we're doing a Friday show, which is gonna be a little bit different, which I'm very excited for. Can I just quickly as well, because we've constantly had audio issues, can I get in the audio? If you don't know the word, audiophiles means someone who's really into audio. If you're an audiophile, could you just let us know what our volumes are like? And especially if we're like showing videos, because I know that I'm always really loud and I've turned myself down. So
apparently this is the least bassy episode so far. That's a comment I've seen already.
Least baity.
Bassy.
Oh, bassy. Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
do tell me. I'll turn myself down.
Yeah, if any of it gets a bit too loud, just let us know and we will do our best to not have things go as crazy as the sound balance was last night. Because, sorry guys, sorry about that. Seriously.
A wee bit quiet. Okay, let's turn you up a little bit.
I'm quiet. Oh no, I'm quiet. That's never been a problem for me before. My mum wouldn't believe anyone said that.
Awesome. Oh well. Yeah, welcome to the show, guys. Yeah. I mean, I suppose I should probably let you know what's the play, what's the haps. So we're going to run through top 5 clips of the week. So that's things that have been posted in the last 5 days and have probably the most views overall. And I'm going to sandwich some positive news at the end and a few memes at the beginning, which is going to be great. We've got a few. I'm sure there's a few things to say about this week's stories as well. So I've got a few opinions to share on the top 2, that's for sure. And I'm sure that Magenta also has some opinions to share. And we did briefly talk about Mike King's controversy last night, but I really want to dive a little bit deeper into that because Magenta, you'll have a few things to say and your expertise on this. And I kind of want to just get a little bit more of the context around it because I feel like we just kind of got this was a line that was said and it crossed the line. Yes. But I was like, okay, but what was the context? Because I want to make sure I'm like judging him fairly. So
absolutely,
I'd love to go into that. So that's what the go is. Anything to start us off?
Well, I accidentally put up our first super chat, which is insane. Thank you, Miss Arvids. I've seen you honestly, the amount of money I see you spend on the rigs, shout out. Thank you so much. Woo, that's exciting. I did actually want to say, I went through obviously last night and I just wanted to say a shout out to everyone. Like I went back through and I looked through all the comments because honestly, I couldn't keep up with how fast you guys were typing last night. So just really loved that there was just a lot of aroha and just definitely made us feel very welcome and helped the nerves a lot. So other than the very distracting amount of cameras and colors and sounds.
Because it was your first time last night. I love the Power Rangers though. I could do that again. That was great fun.
Honestly, everyone had some really funny things to say, so it was just awesome, and I really appreciate all the love, guys. And apparently, according to Peter, we have been called honorary Dunedinites. Yeah.
I mean, I'm from Invercargill, so it's closer than the same city, just less cool. Kiwi Skirt, hello and thank you. I like this one. Wow. Friday Five in support of the added show. Thank you, Southern Moonlight. Appreciate it. And then unstar them, which was great.
Yes.
A little bit of technical fun stuff.
Yeah, it's going to get fun learning how to play with all the comments.
It's great. It's great fun. So let's jump into it. Let's go into the top 5 of the week. Now we have some fun little graphics that go with this. We don't have the sound effects to go with it yet. So Magenta, if you could just count us down with a few little sound effects to go with this one.
5.
Oh, hang on. Try again. Wait. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, come on. Rima.
Number 5 of the week. Oh, hang on. I'm going to show my screen too. Was Nicola. This is, it's already going to. No, it's fine. Was
drum roll.
Nicola Willis challenged on how cuts to the back room are impacting the front line. Surprise, surprise to no one. Nicola Willis and McAnulty were on breakfast talking about the systematic issues with the health system, with Willis being challenged that all the backroom cuts were impacting the front line. Surprise to no one. A little comment from me. The admin staff, if anyone's worked in a business, are probably the most important people. Even the big chiefs usually have PAs. That's usually how things get done because they've got so much on their plate. Imagine that pretty much every doctor and I would say most, like every nurse probably, look at them as like top executives in the system, and they all have backroom staff that help them with all their paperwork. Because I want them looking after me, not doing paperwork. Same with teachers, and with so many other sectors. That's just my 3 cents.
Well, I mean, like, and if we get real, like those jobs are often undervalued for the thing. Like, let's be honest, there is wastage. Definitely not arguing that, but I think where the wastage is often in completely different areas. The amount that admin staff do to keep the ship running is just, integral.
Yep. So let's just have a quick look at the 2 opposing opinions, I guess.
Votes as just said. But also, fair enough too, this is a systemic problem. This isn't just all landed in these guys' patch. It's been going on some level for years. Basically, kind of asked why didn't Labor sort this out either? You had a crack. What were you guys up to?
Well, the reforms were a massive part of that. We can't forget how the DHB system was failing New Zealand. Only need to look at back home in Wairarapa. We had the second smallest DHB in the country. People in Ekatahuna weren't able to access their nearest hospital because of an arbitrary boundary. If people in Wairarapa needed to access healthcare in Wellington, we were at the back of the queue because Wellington people got treated first. That is not how health systems should be working in this country. Now, a reform of that size is always going to take time, but I still don't think the response from the minister is going to wash with New Zealanders. They promised us that their cuts wouldn't impact the front line. Go to Masterton Hospital and talk to the nurses there. They tell us that they're 40 nurses short and they're not allowed to recruit. The government tells us there's no hiring freeze on, yet if you go to the hospital and talk to the people that actually work there, they tell you a different story. Our orthopaedic surgery's been...
So that's one opinion.
We always love a Kieran opinion. It's generally a good one or the right one? I mean,
And Nicola,
oh.
let's have your say.
Guys, we're going to fix it.
Oh.
Got to make sure you can blame Labor.
Like seeing anyone burn out, but he pointed out himself this is a 2.5-year issue he's faced. We're a government that's been in
Talking
for
about
10 months. We have actually
SAR.
increased funding for health considerably by an additional $1.4 billion in the budget. And as I say, we've committed more funding in all of our future budgets. So this isn't about reducing funding for health. It's about making sure that we can hire those doctors who have been in shortage.
What about those nurses who were offered jobs and then that offer was recanted? Is that the right word? Taken away. So I don't quite understand, because if...
And just to add to that one as well, was also the top level doctors. The like most experienced doctors that they're just like, we don't need these guys. You know, we need the ones from overseas. They're more important. So.
Yeah, I actually quite like this comment here. Doctors are famous for studying medicine in the hope of a lifetime of paperwork. Exactly. I mean,
it's their favorite thing to do. I mean, they spent 6 to 8 years probably by the time they actually become a doctor. They spend that many times actually reading books and studying and like, you know, writing all those papers and essays while also being a doctor, because as a junior doctor, you still have to study. And then when they become a doctor, they're really excited about, you know, writing up notes about people's, you know, which is fair. Like, you have to do it, but like, it would be nice if they had some help, because they're the experts and I'd like them to help me. So, all right, number 4 for the week. Are we ready? Have we got our sound effect ready? Number 4.
Wow. 4.
Is I should probably do this first, shouldn't I? Kadunk. Kamala's position on Israel and Gaza is impacting her vote. Last Friday, Pat had a great chat, almost I think it was a full hour of discussion with Sam Cedar. He's a top-tier left-wing commentator and comedian from the US. He's the host of The Majority Report, which is a daily political talk show which is independently produced on their own platform, Majority FM, and is distributed on most digital platforms, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, podcasting stuff. Yeah, this was fascinating. So he's just I honestly just go and watch the full thing because it was fascinating. Really good to get an insight from someone who's obviously done this for a really long time. And yeah, so here's just the snippet is Sam's thoughts regarding Kamala's campaign and fighting her, well, I guess the campaign itself, finding their feet when it comes to Israel and Gaza, and what effect it might have on particularly young voters.
Marginal evidence for this, that she's going to change policy. I don't know that it's going to be a radical change, but it's going to be enough, I think, when she gets in office. But putting that aside, I think, A, they know that's very difficult to do. B, I think they probably think it's a break-even, proposition.
Right.
They may be right, they may be wrong, but I suspect that they think it's a break-even proposition because there may be, more, conservative-oriented Jews in Pennsylvania and Michigan, maybe. But I do think what they probably are afraid of is not so much the trade-off in votes if they were to, come out with something that was a little bit more forceful.
Mm-hmm.
I think their campaign has been about, do not make this about you, make it about Trump. And as soon as the story is she's breaking from Biden, in a significant way. I mean, let's look how she's actually, how's your administration gonna be different than Biden's? And it's been such sort of, pablum. And she doesn't want to say that she's not her own person, but she also doesn't want to say he did something wrong or something. So it's all been sort of I think had she broken from Biden, it would have been a major bone that the media would have gnawed on over and over and over again. And
yeah, so that's the general gist of that. But I highly recommend going and watching the full thing, which was from last Friday's show. It wasn't live, but it was was pre-recorded. Just on that as well, I totally agree. I think it was such a hard thing for Kamala to come in, and you don't want to throw Biden under the bus because like the media would have jumped on it and been like, "Oh, see, she wasn't even part of it. She didn't believe in this administration because she did kind of disappear for a while, and there was nothing really said."
No,
it was it's a bit of a tricky one to draw the line on.
And that's the thing is, I mean, I remember Sam was talking about how, because she has aligned herself with certain Republicans and certain people, unfortunately, it seems she's trying to play a bit of a safe game, I guess, and trying to maybe be closer to the middle in terms of trying to sway some of these, intense voters that are on the right, which I can understand, but I think also, as Sam kind of alluded to, is that he's not sure if they've done it maybe in the best way. And as the chat have been kind of talking about, is that there's a lot of independent voters this year. And unfortunately, like the chances of that potentially kind of ruining it for Kamala are a little bit higher than I would like personally, but it's disappointing, but you can kind of understand in some ways why she's probably playing a bit of a dicey game and trying to be very mindful.
Yeah, it is. It is such a difficult thing to do when you kind of step into someone's shoes a month out. 2 months out, a month out.
Oh no, we're not. We're not even that. We're like a week or something out, aren't we?
Oh, I mean, sorry. When she stepped in, it was like a month or 2 months.
Oh, 3 months. I think she gets 3 months.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely came in near the end, but like, I mean, they've definitely had some strong, like, I mean, like the campaign felt like it was already in Trump's hands until she came in. Like, I was getting pretty hopeless.
I was the same. I was like, cool. Trump got shot. He's got his hero piece. And then Kamala's like, oh, hell no, I'm coming in. Sorry, that was probably offensive. Tim Walz, best pick ever.
We love him.
He has made the campaign for me. Like he was the right person because he's so normal and he can say the stuff that is so progressive because he's a white dude, which is sad to say that that's really what it is that he's going to be able to pull in those, the other direction, which is great because it's like, cool, we've got the front woman being a woman of color.
It was a smart move. Like they need to, I mean, he's the buffer. He's the white old man that's there to help kind of, I've also noticed he's clearly taken a bit more of the kind of, liberal side because again, I think the population will digest that a lot better from him than if Kamala tried. And I mean, I think it's a fair strategy. I don't think it's necessarily a bad one, but fingers crossed that it might be enough.
Yeah.
Yes. We love him.
I think he's so good. I love him. So good pick. But yeah, I honestly, if you want to watch a clip from last week, that's the one I would, or even the full show, go and watch it with Pat and Sam Cedar. Right, number 3. Are we ready? All right, get your I don't know, what would you call it? Sound effect. Get your sound effect ready. All right, 3, 2, 1. I love that. We have, what's the nutritional content of the new school lunches? What do experts say about the new $3 school lunches brought in by this national-led government, aka ACT? Honestly, this topic has been covered quite a few times across the media, which is good. It needs its time in the spotlight. But I think for this one, I think Pat and Jude just had some really good thoughts at the beginning. And I think it really summarizes what a lot of, I would say the majority of people are wondering. I'm sure there's a lot of people that benefit from this who are just glad to see it's going ahead regardless of what the food is. But I am really worried that it's not getting to the right people. So here's some lovely comments from this one. Oh, that's
parents
the wrong
of primary
screen.
school kids now. Is that okay lunch? And what happens at morning tea, afternoon tea? Is that going to get kids through or not? Now, I'm not actually looking to poke holes in it for hole's sake. I'm genuinely asking, is that portion size going to be enough?
I'm going to borrow phrases from a chat last night. I'm not going to let good be the enemy of perfect.
Okay.
I think any meal program that is available to all students is better than nothing.
But not as good as what they had last year.
Yeah. And I think for a couple of reasons. Yes, I would have questions, as you said, serving size, nutritional basis. Had they looked at that, or is it just cost per meal? As I said, this government's great at knowing the cost of everything, but not the value of anything. So one of the benefits of the previous school program is that they just gave schools the money and they sourced stuff locally. There's a spin-off benefit to the local economy and local producers and fresh produce and that sort of thing. This is more centralized meal production factories, frozen and sent out nationwide. They're trying to...
Perfectly sums it up, in my opinion. And to add to that as well, sorry, I'm cutting you off.
No, you're good.
To add that as well, is... Oh, now I can't... You go then, because I forgot what I was going to say.
No, there was actually an interesting bit of news that I learned on the end of that on RNZ yesterday, I think it was. They've actually... so there used to be 156 providers under the Ako Ka Ora system. Apparently 75 who thought that they were having their contracts extended until 2026 have just learnt that their contracts are being cut on Christmas Eve this year. So there's about 47 people who are going to be laid off through that, which is yay, more fun news to come out of the lunch debacle. I also saw a comment talking about how maybe I think in some places maybe the food wasn't the best, and this could be an upgrade. And just want to acknowledge that, like, that is so true. Like, at the end of the day, food and bellies is great, and we appreciate and we love that. However, we're still not going to necessarily fight, like, being okay, is this nutritional food? Are our kids not just getting given a bunch of rice and not enough meat and not enough veggies? I think everyone just wants the kids to have the most nutritious food possible.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are all, there's so many good comments. What's wrong with the sandwich? I agree. But kids are picky. And sometimes, like, this bugbear with, like, sushi and stuff being like, it's such woke food. Like, kids actually really enjoy that sometimes. And I think kids are a lot more
I think it depends on where you are as well. I mean, I know that John Oliver did a piece around, like, food programs in America.
Highly recommend watching that.
That was an amazing piece. Definitely, if you haven't watched it, guys, go watch it. But, they talked about how in different areas, different communities have different preferences. He was talking about how in a certain area, they couldn't give them whole grain tortillas because that was just not going to work for those people in that area. So, they had to, we've got to make, adaptations and customize it to work for the people that it's serving.
Fried cauliflower or baked cauliflower, it's actually really good, especially with cheese and bacon. So good. Sort of like a nice low carb option, and then you just put all the nice carbs on it. This is going to be an ongoing story, I bet, and probably one that needs to stay in the media because this is important. Kids need fed, but they need to be fed correctly, or at least like good quality food. You'll never guess who's in this next story. You'll never guess who's making the news every bloody time.
Do we need a trigger warning?
Story keeps going. Right. Did we do number 3? Yes, we did. Go.
Wasn't ready for that one.
Sorry, I should have counted you in. You've got our favorite. I love hairless leader. I said that to someone. They're like, oh my God, that's genius. The hypocrisy of the standards of Christopher Luxon set versus pre versus post-election. What was pre-election Christopher Luxon all about when it came to holding ministers accountable for their actions versus now as a PM? So here's a quick clip from Christopher Luxon pre-election regarding Michael Woods holding shares, which is a violation of Parliament's conflict of interest declarations, if I'm not mistaken. Here's some fine... Yeah,
Twitter feed.
Find words from...
Well, look, I don't understand.
So actually, this is about Michael Wood. This is actually exactly what you're saying. This is about Michael Wood.
Well, look, I don't understand. He found out last Friday. He should have suspended him immediately on the moment, based off what the facts were. And
So
as soon as you start to have relative standards, not absolute.
So Labor can't have relative standards. You have to have absolute standards. Now, what that means is you can't make any excuses. So in other words, it doesn't matter if he's apologized. That's a relative standard because you've changed your outcome based on what he did. That's relative. But when it was Labor, no, relative standards aren't allowed. It has to be absolute standards.
As soon as you start to have relative standards, not absolute standards, that's a real problem for New Zealand. Here we are.
So I just wanted to add to this as well, because I had, in my household, there was a bit of a controversial opinion to this. So in my house, someone pointed out, and by someone, I mean my partner, this sort of thing does happen on both sides of the aisle. There is one standard for your ministers when you're in, well, I mean, at any stage, whether you're in opposition or in government, and that is that leaders will obviously back their ministers. So Labor have done it. They backed Michael Woods. They said he did the right thing. Supposedly, they gave him time. And eventually they're like, okay, you met the standard, you're out. But I think the hypocrisy here is that Christopher Luxon is so adamant that this is like, if you don't meet the standard, you're out. In fairness, he's talking about, in this clip, he's talking about Michael Woods, but this is in reference to the Andrew Bailey saga. So when it came to Michael Woods, this was about him holding shares, which is a conflict of interest. And the thing about Andrew Bailey is he's just being an absolute can't to his constituents, which is just like just a dick move. So we are talking about two different issues here. However, I'd like to point out there are a lot of government ministers at the moment who have been pulled up for conflicts of interest, such as being gun lobbyists, having connections to tobacco.
Yeah.
Luxon doesn't seem to have an issue with those people. And also, point two, Christopher Luxon, you changed the law, you changed the Bright Line test, and then proceeded to sell your house. That is also a conflict of interest. So if his whole thing at that time was, this is shady, you're holding shares, it's a conflict of interest, there are rules, he should go, then he is 100% being a hypocrite in this state.
Oh, absolutely.
And absolute standards and integrity are absolute bullshit from him.
And I think Campbell's kind of echoed a little bit of what you're saying here, is that, they definitely, there's the criticism, but I mean, this has not been handled well. This definitely, I mean, I think I've talked to you a little bit about this off air before, but like, I mean, it's one thing to make a mistake, own up to it. It is another to continuously lie and try to lie and lie again, and then have a bunch of Parliament time be wasted on this. If he had have just actually came out, admitted he had made a mistake, said he was going to do better, and actually, made that steps, cool, all good, move on. But you've wasted time, you've lied, you've broken the trust of people. And so him going soft like this it doesn't look good given everything they've done, considering he has gone hard. Okay. He has gone hard. We had Melissa Lee.
Yeah.
Melissa Lee was gone. And
Incompetence. Which I would say lying and not being able to tell the truth is incompetence as well.
Exactly.
So if his one thing was
and
like,
it was
it's
such
incompetent,
a dumb
you've handled this poorly.
I mean, yes, it looked bad, but like,
and it embarrassed them too. Like that clip of Chris Bishop, like leaning over and being like, clearly, like you could read his lips. I don't know what he's saying, but he was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" Because us at the front bench are saying that defending you and you're making us look like assholes. That alone would have been like, "You're out. You're incompetent. You're out." So
exactly.
Anyway, that's my rant about that.
There's too many areas where they're just making critically bad mistakes, and it's all making this one big mess that they need to start trying to do better. But
I'm just sick of them blaming Labor every bloody 5 minutes. I can almost when I watch a clip now, I'm just like, wait for it.
Yeah. It's got to happen.
I would say to you, Labor, and I'm just like, are you fucking kidding? Come on. I'm getting sick of this. And they're not I wish the presenters or the interviewers on the other side would just be like, no. You've been in, I'm waiting for them to be like, it's been over a year now. You take responsibility for this now. I just wish they would cut them off and say, you can't blame Labor for this. But just every bloody time they do it, and just because viewers aren't smart enough like I'm only like privy to this information or like aware of it now because BHN. It's like if they hadn't put that into my brain, I probably wouldn't have thought about it that much, or it would have taken longer. The interviewers on TV or the media, I guess, need to do the same thing when they say it, to put it into people's minds. Hey, you say this a lot. About time you take responsibility. But that's not going to happen to the average person until they actually like start saying it. Cut them off.
No, I mean, it's frustrating and that's what we've been putting up with since they've come in. It's just been this snowballing and turning into a giant shit sandwich, to be honest.
Shit sandwich. Oh, I love it. Media brainwashes people. 50-50. 50-50. I think they influence people is probably the better way to put it. They influence people quite a bit, and we take their word as gospel sometimes, which, I mean, I think we do it with BHN too. I mean, Pat and Jew, it's not like I don't agree with them, but sometimes
I think we need to be aware of the echo chambers that we create for ourselves and make efforts to not necessarily stay stuck in them and allow the media to be one of those, echo chambers. Woo! Man, we got some man, Friday's coming with the spice.
Spicy.
Everyone's had a long fucking week and they're done.
Oh, too good. I'm so sorry. If I'm missing super chats, I'm really, really sorry.
Oh, we can check those in after we finish.
They do. They get automatically started. But honestly, I'm just, if I see a comment, I'm sticking on screen because there's
been so many good ones.
Oh, I don't even. Oh, okay. Not even mind. I'm glad I'm not eating right now. Okay, number one. Are we ready? Are we ready? You got your number one ready?
Not really, but let's go. Hey, Tahi.
Let's say Uno. The biggest clip from this week was we've been told that this treaty principles document is a leak. Whether this is an active leak or not, what is clear is that what we are being told about there being no treaty principles is plainly false. So a quick note on this one, Pat did say he was going to come back to this. I don't think he did this week, right? He didn't come back to this document. He was still waiting for the lawyers.
I was actually thinking. I've been thinking about that every single night the show has been on, and I see someone saying "spill the tea," and guys, we haven't been given the cup. I'm sorry.
No,
we don't have the cup. We just have the story. I would love to be dissecting that right now.
Yes,
like
I'm sure you would. So I'm just, I'm going to give you the quick little clip that came out of this. Come on, guys, 1080p, thank you.
Just going down to where I was up to, because we want to get to the key messages. Because how we've been told by, I don't know if David Seymour's said this, but certainly his advocates, and I'm thinking of Damien Grant, and people like that have said, the principles, the treaty principles, nobody knows what they are. They're nowhere. They don't mean anything. They've never been written down. Well, this document coming from Paul Goldsmith's office, and here's a couple of things it does say. So we're not going to do this tonight because I've only just started looking at it. A key message is there's already a degree of certainty around what the existing principles are and how they operate. So replacing them will need to be done carefully to avoid creating more uncertainty. So the government, we're not talking about the ACT Party, but the government says that there are existing principles and there is a certain degree of certainty to it, which is a different sounding message.
Certain degree of certainty.
As to why we need to hold a referendum or legislation on the treaty's principle. If you notice number 5 there also says, this is the government saying this, there is a significant risk that the bill could generate division that undermines social cohesion and the Māori Crown relationship. That's what they're saying. I've marked a couple more. Number 14, right? Remember, we don't know what the treaty principles are. We don't have treaty principles. No one knows what they are. The government's document, point 14 says, the existing treaty principles have been developed over 35 years of jurisprudence and by the actions of successive governments, so there is a degree of certainty about what they are and how they operate. And then it goes through some of the key principles and it mentions those names: partnership, protection, and redress. I think we also say participation, don't we, as well for that. And number 15, remember, this is we have to have this treaty's principle legislation because nobody knows what it's about and it means nothing. The principles are a significant part of our constitutional system and can be applied in several different ways. Now, as I'm saying,
So if you want to learn more about this, go back watch the clip. But I'm not surprised it's number one, even though it was kind of a non-story story. I think this was already covered early in the year.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a teaser, really. I think we just.
It
we're just
was.
waiting.
What a tease.
He teased us,
It was
and then
number
he
one.
hasn't said anything else. I mean,
Yeah.
So hopefully we will hear about that. But I mean, yeah, there's a lot to say. I mean, the fact that they've even been trying to say that at all to begin with is just, it's been ludicrous from the beginning. I mean, we literally get taught about it in university in so many different papers. So I'm sorry, but how are they teaching us principles if they're not defined? You know, why do I have literally pages and pages of, you know, notes from class on the different aspects that come under those principles? It's honestly just lying. That's all it is. And
Yeah.
it's bad faith, which goes against one of the principles. And this is why we can't trust him.
The fact that he's been able to get to this point, despite the fact that everyone who's an expert in the space, who has authority in the space, has said, nah, shut the fuck up, he's still going ahead with it. It's like, no, this discussion needs to be had. It must be a debate. I'm a debate nerd. I'm head of the debate club.
Right.
I want my debate. It's like, yeah, but half of New Zealand is, not going to say dumb, but I mean, like, we're dumb to this stuff because we don't know it.
Taught it. Yeah,
I wasn't taught it. I had to go to university and have people tell me before I actually understood it.
So many of us have not been taught what the history is, not been taught what it means properly. Some of us were taught like bastardized versions, and honestly,
white people's version.
Exactly. And a lot of it was always very much in favor of the side of the crown, of the Kawanatanga.
Oh. Hi, Chisanga.
Wow.
Thank you. This is probably not your regular VHN show.
Yeah, what a first show to come into.
Right Hearing News, I think is what we've been dubbed.
Yes, Right Hearing News is
super duper appreciate it.
Thank you so much. But yeah, I mean,
right, the podcast versus the video. Oh, wonderful.
Yes, our voices are going to be on Spotify.
Oh,
it's
exciting.
weird. Oh.
Yes. Yeah, anything more, because you're the expert in the space, anything more to say on this?
I mean,
any comments you want to throw up?
Obviously, once we've got more information on what this document says, I'm obviously quite interested to go further into this, because obviously my professors at Te Herenga Waka have worked in this space. So I'm hoping that maybe one of our first interviews that you and I might kind of work on would possibly be with one of my lecturers, who
would be
is
great.
an expert in the tidity space. Because actually, as I mentioned last night to people, I got my bachelor's is in kaitiakitanga, which is technically currently called Māori Resource Management. So those are the papers in which I have, learnt those things. And so, yeah, it'll be really interesting to hopefully get her on at some point to actually really go into the weeds. Why do you keep showing funny comments when I'm trying to think?
Sorry. I'm listening, and then I'm just like, oh, that's funny. And those shows, let's go straight to hell.
Everyone is. Y'all are really too funny. Stop it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no. So I definitely want to go into that, because I mean, the thing is, like, Te Tiriti guaranteed a lot of things, and none have been honoured. Like, we need to honour Te Tiriti before we start talking about how these principles are going to be, if we are going to reword them or change them. We need to honour Te Tiriti before we can even have that conversation.
Yeah. We need to get to where we should be, and then have the debate about the next step, because we've never gotten to the point where it should have been. Like, we got to get to where we're supposed to be first, and then we can grow from there. But if you're Māori have always been on the back foot, we're starting that's when it clicked for me, is when I understood that they've always been on the back foot. How are you supposed to grow economic, social wealth from minus 100? And the rest of us are starting at 0, if not plus 100, because we have generational wealth. And like that for me was the thing that made me understand so much food inequality, housing inequality, retirement inequality, because a lot of people, like their retirement fund is their house. And if you haven't got enough money to buy a house, if you didn't have a job that paid where the benefit was shit and you weren't able to save to buy a house, what are you going to pass on to your children? There's no inheritance for them. They're starting from 0 again. So once you understand that, it's like, oh shit, like I am privileged.
And I mean,
like
systemic
that for me is
issues are
humbling.
everywhere. And once you start to notice them and see them, it's crazy to see the ways that they truly do impact people on such a intense level. Like I was literally in the work and income office this week, and there was a man who was trying to get help through work and income because he's had mental health issues. He's just come out of prison, and they were turning him away. And when he was like, I'm just struggling, I really need this help, like the system is against me, she turned to him and said, no, it's not. Maybe you should be accountable for your actions. And it broke my heart to hear someone speak like that to someone who is clearly saying all the things and taking accountability and doing their best. He was, he'd been going to multiple different places. One place she was trying to tell him to go was closed. Like he was trying to get into transitional housing. They put him into a homeless night shelter instead. And it's heartbreaking to see the ways that people are just, like you said, they're starting at minus 100. And once people can really understand that that's why we need to be a bit more compassionate in the world, I think that's when we're going to start seeing a bit more of that kind of shift. But
be the buffers, be the allies.
Exactly. That's why we need people to point it out, to be vocal, to be anti-racist, anti-ableist, anti all of the horrible bigotry, so that we can really just work together against what is the actual enemies, the money hoarding capitalists running away and laughing with our money as they look down on
around
us.
and
exactly and make judgments.
Just got a picture of Christopher Luxon frolicking through a field. Sorry, someone can draw that, please. All right, let's throw up some. What have we got? Comments that are missing? Have we got anything?
Yeah, so we can go through some comments actually, because there's been so many good ones. You guys are just coming through with the fire tonight.
I missed this one.
Oh shit! Sorry.
Sorry.
You go. We've had
Hell
a few.
yeah.
Yes.
Thanks, Brian.
Everyone's been going hard on Luxon tonight, and you love to see
Good.
it.
Good. Hold him accountable.
Agreed, Rolly. I don't think other politicians would like to also have the lunches that our children are eating. I totally agree. Again, also agreed. It would be great to see if they are going to do these big. I can understand wanting to make things in bulk, but can we find a way to keep that in local economy? That'd be awesome. Also, Gary Charles, I totally agree. We only learn anything from Luxon when journalists get him babbling off script or blabbing off script.
Because he is so on script every freaking time.
To a disgustingly annoying degree. And it's frustrating. But also apparently you pulled a Seymour.
I did. Sorry. It happens. Sorry. I'm sorry.
And then I agree it would be lovely to have someone like on the working group, but I don't think we have quite the money that those guys are running and their professionalship. So one day that'll be awesome. I also saw this from one of our Facebook comments. I have not seen this video. However, if you would like to send that through on the Discord or maybe through to the Big Hero News email, happy to have a look and maybe look at that for later on.
Right.
And the last one, agreed, Dave B. RMA gave the phrase, have regard to the treaty, which the preferring of the give effect to. because that has been a debate within a lot of those spaces in terms of policies, where some of the wording can be so flimsy and so weak that it often comes across as tokenistic, because they're saying, oh yep, look, we've done the thing, we've honored what we're supposed to honor, when really they can just kind of choose to take or leave it.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I think that's it for now. I think I was going to leave. Oh no, we do have some super chats. I think we haven't quite showed yet. So should we go through?
I like this one. Thanks, Kerry Bird. They enjoy look different tonight.
Yeah, they do a bit.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. And also, not your first super chat. We might have already shown these. I'm sorry, but thank you, Kerry Bird. Appreciate your donations there.
Yeah, we also got a fiver from Citizen Gold.
Friday fiver.
One of the usuals. So thank you, Citizen. I appreciate the support. I'm not sure when this came in, sorry, but we fight together, vote together, and then we will win. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Kooky Nick, first late fee. Thank you very much. Oh my God, we're getting a late fee? Yeesh. What's going on? Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I think that is all for now. We'll leave those ones there for later.
All right. I forgot about your wonderful meme.
Oh,
do you have a meme before we jump into the next thing?
Yes, why not? I mean, yes, it'll be a palate cleanser. However, I would like to give a trigger warning for Baldylocks, because every time his face comes on, honestly, it can be a bit much at times. Let me just now. Apologies if there is any sound. Please just say loud or something in the comments, and I'll get Emily to keep an eye on that, just to make sure that we don't blow your ears out, because I hate when that happens. I'm sure some of you may have seen this already, but this was on the Labour Instagram, which has been actually getting really good with some of the content.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's not worth losing my ear over healthcare or childcare or someone living in a wheelchair and it needed when it rains certainly pause primary flood your hospital is in the night, because the promise that I made wasn't absolute but fast tracks, back tracks, feeding all the bad cats. We're my freaking dog that we're taking New Zealand way off track. Stuff and environment stuff. A retirement working until you're 90 will be a requirement. Nicola Willis understood the assignment.
No, I don't think so.
It's not about the freaking targets. All I'm focused on is the housing market. So I can sell my house for a bit of government, and I can do my silly moves on the steps of Parliament where my freaking dog that.
Jesus.
So that is
that's
honestly,
what we wanted.
I love that. So I've actually listened to that so many times, and I just it's like,
sadly that is not AI. That's all. I mean, to be fair, it's all taken out of context, but
I mean, I love it. I love out of context.
Hell yeah.
Oh my God.
We need more of that comparison.
Our Dern on the decks. Are we do we really want Luxon to take over? Do you not remember that picture of Auntie Jacinda where she's like on the DJ decks? Oh, hold on. I'll quickly find it.
I'm curious. Was this during the
Oh my God, I don't even, I'll be honest. I'm trying to even remember what year this was. It's been so long.
The Spread Your Legs saga with the psychedelic music video that was going off.
Here we go. I'll just share my Google search screen. But yeah, it was Auntie on the decks. So yeah, pretty cool if you ask me.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Nice little palate cleanser. Right, let's get into anxiety and depression and alcohol. So Mike King was the topic. It's nothing to do with anxiety, but depression definitely. Sorry, we shouldn't joke about this. It's a serious topic. Mike King misspoke. However, that was kind of we discussed this yesterday, and we discussed a quote that came from him, which I I should probably find what that exact quote was. And actually, what was
I mean,
it?
to be
was,
fair, I think it's fair to say though, misspoke might be a little bit kind.
Oh, it's
because
very, very kind.
I think I think maybe a bit of a backtrack, maybe a bit of a tail between the legs.
I'm going to say Mishap. Context was nuances missing, so I'm like, okay, let's find the exact clip so that we can get the whole context and see whether or not what he was saying was correct or incorrect. So the quote itself, his claims that alcohol is the solution for people with mental health issues. That is the one little line that has blown up. So I just want to go through the evidence because I feel like this is something that actually needs to be talked about. And obviously I don't want to be biased. And to me, that kind of sounds reasonable, but definitely comes across wrong. So
I think the sentiment was definitely a clear sentiment that was there that I don't think was communicated correctly, for sure.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, was it just a mishap? So let's see what was said. So good old Chrissy Luxon. Access to mental health is absolutely important. Don't agree with his comments. Good, he's provided some context around alcohol causes major harm in New Zealand, Luxon summarised. Alcohol harm is a serious issue in New Zealand. Agreed. Luxon said he has not spoken to King since the controversy and said Labour was playing politics by saying that funding should be halted for Gumboot Friday. This is an organisation that has delivered results. Do not play politics with youth mental health. I know it's not easy for Labour to do. Blame Labour, blame Labour. Fear. We shouldn't be playing politics with this. This is really important. Youth mental health across New Zealand entirely is needing more attention. And so the part of me is like, yeah, he's kind of screwed up, but he's drawing attention to the issue again. People are talking about it again. He's highlighting that there needs to be more help in the sector. And you know, at the end of the day, he's still kind of doing good stuff. It's kind of like the Mr. Beast thing, right? You do some shit stuff, but you do some good stuff in the name of content, and that blew up in his face because he was in the end terrible human being. So completely off topic, but you know. So, anyways, that's what that was the response from Christopher Luxon. Makes sense. It's his government, and he just boosted their funding.
I did actually see, I think, the story that they were talking about today, because apparently there has been an event that that's basically raising awareness for suicide prevention that centers around alcohol, and I believe that is why
that's where it came from. Yeah.
So I think, it makes sense. I found that. But it's.
I'll come back to. We've got the full clip, so we'll come back to it. I promise you. Okay, so Labour. Obviously, we'll get both sides of the aisle. Labour's mental health spokesperson Ingrid Leary said that should be reviewed, the $24 million that they were funded. The comments are deeply problematic and fly in the face of well-established bodies of literature that links alcohol use both directly and indirectly with mental ill health, including with suicide risk, she said. To continue to fund Gumboot Friday sends a message to young people that alcohol use is recognised treatment for mental health issues. Sure. Kind of, yeah, I agree. It's not a great look. The other thing that came out of this as well was out of RNZ. They did, and this is where I kind of have some issues. They also did a full timeline of his ups and downs with mental health. And I have an issue with this because it's
I don't think we need to frame it that basically this guy has had a troubled past, so like he's just a dick. Like we don't need to bring his struggles and his, he's been through some hard times.
He has, and also this is a little bit misleading because this is actually talking about his more so professional life. Because I read through it and I'm like, actually, at the end of the day, this is actually more about his career and the way he's dealt with stuff in terms of his charity work, his work with the government, and actually less about his mental health. So this is quite triggering and also is a little bit misleading. But at the end of the day, I don't think someone's mental health should be brought into this because and I don't know if you agree with this, but I mean, addiction is a disease, and people shouldn't be villainized for it. It would be like going after someone who's a cancer patient who may have been relying on alcohol and says something like, I used alcohol to get through my illness. And they'd be like, you're promoting alcoholism. It's like, yeah, but that's the way I see it.
I do get it. Like, I think the problem with Mike King is that he's kind of given himself this reputation over the years of just kind of actually just being a dick. Like, he has in the past just said things and not like, I think even, again, it's kind of similar to, what I said about Andrew Bailey. Like, if maybe his response had have been a little less egotistical and like, oh, you guys, I didn't mean it. Like, he could have just said, look, my wording could have been better. This is what I meant. I meant that, in hard times, things like alcohol can be used as kind of, a small band-aid to get you just, that little bit further to where you need to be so that you can get that help or that whatever you need. But I think the way that he's just kind of taken a bit of a shit attitude, kind of just going, oh, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, just say I made a mistake. Like, I think that seems to be a big kind of recurring theme that I just feel like we're noticing a lot in all of the news, whether it's New Zealand politics, American politics, is that people just don't want to say, hey, I made a mistake. I'm really sorry. And yep, I should have done better. I didn't do it, but I will do better, and we can move on. Yeah. And I mean, I understand there are aspects of trust that can be broken in those times, but like, we need to be a bit more, willing to take onus of our mistakes and not just make this big bullshit over just poorly worded statement.
It's interesting you say that. So, just to sort of wrap things up and give the full context. So this is from the Mental Health Foundation Chief Executive Sean Robinson told Stuff. King was wrong to say alcohol wasn't a risk factor for suicide, but there was some truth in what he was saying. What Mike was trying to say about how people use alcohol when they are really struggling was totally valid. But I think we need to also bring into in the science, the research, and expert voices. Agreed. So what did he say in full context? Because that, to me, was he clipped out of context, or did he really, really screw up? And so I just found the clip in context. So the reason, you're right, the reason he was talking with the Duplessis, was about a liquor license that a group in Dunedin were trying to get in order to fundraise at a fashion show for mental health. And police were not okay with it. He was like, this is bullshit. At the end of the day, we're trying to raise money for mental health, kids' mental health. So hopefully you can hear this.
So they've got really self-righteous and weird, haven't they?
Well, and that's the problem with society today. We've become very tribal. There is no connection between different groups. We're right, you're wrong, and we'll counterpoint any argument you come up with. At the heart of this is a bunch of young people trying to do the right thing by mental health to help a local charity, and that's where the decision should be made, not on this thing that there's an intrinsic link between alcohol and suicide, because you know what? Alcohol is not a problem for people with mental health issues. It's actually the solution to our problem. And until you come up with a better solution,
what do you mean by that? How is it a solution?
Well, it stops those thoughts. I would suggest to you that alcohol has prevented more young people from taking their own lives, that it actually takes their own lives. I mean, I'm a drug addict and alcoholic, and my whole life I used drugs and alcohol to stop that little voice inside my head that told me that I wasn't good enough, that I was useless.
So it's like a release. Hopeless. Like a release.
It's a release. It's like a video game. It's exactly the same thing. I would always be out and about with groups of people because the thing I feared most was being in a room by myself. So the drugs and the alcohol helped that until I got counseling and I found a way of dealing dealing with my bigger issues. So alcohol has never been the issue. It shouldn't be in the Mental Health Act at all. We should come up with alternatives. It's like methadone. It keeps us going until some help comes along.
Interesting.
It's our life jacket.
Yeah, really interesting perspective. Hey, thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. It's Mike King, mental health advocate. By the way, Friday, I think, is Gumboot Friday.
So when I hear it in that context, I kind of agree with him.
Oh, yeah.
But I can totally understand there was a bit in there that did not come across. And I think unless you know the nuance or you know that perspective really well, that is not going to come across the way that he thinks it's going to. So I totally understand why people have an issue with it, because in that particular clip, let's be honest, taken a little bit out of context, but there was one piece in there that I think he really misspoke and
I don't think it was
did not help himself.
Out of context, though, is it feels like I think the real reason that people are the most upset is it's because of the position he holds. It's because he's asserted himself for a very long time as someone who, and actually I'm going to find a comment that I saw in the chat, and I'm just going to bring this up because this is true. He is not a qualified mental health professional. However, I do want to slightly, argue against some of what you're saying in this comment, in that having people with lived experience of these issues is crucial. It is crucial to have their voices and their knowledge and their understanding be incorporated into the therapeutic approach. However, it must be done in such a way. It must be done carefully. It must be done in a way. And because he sits in that space, he needs to be mindful about the words that he is saying, because people do look to him as a role model. People do look to him and take his advice. So if they're really struggling and they might have been considering reaching out to a person, they might just hear that and go, you know what, it's too hard. I might just take that option, when they might have been like right there. Because definitely there are so many times, like I myself, like I mentioned last night how I was going into my therapist's office. Literally a couple of years ago, I was going through a similar thing. I had a time where life was getting really difficult and I needed something just to help me a little bit to get through a really difficult time. And I acknowledged at the time that I knew it wasn't good for me, but that it was the only way that I could kind of cope at that time, because I didn't have the greatest support structures and all of that. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to go out here as a mental health advocate on the national stage and speak so recklessly and then not at least own that and kind of sorry, I was actually just gonna say like this comment as well. You know, the way he gave his retraction came across as extremely arrogant and not really how I would have expected him to conduct himself. You know, he's supposed to keep people that need that advice to be a little more mindful. He shouldn't be giving, like, he just seemed like he was angry at people who were, you know, mad at him, rather than actually addressing the people who maybe actually needed to hear that correction.
Yeah, and I think that's it, is that he was addressing the people that are angry at him for that one line, but I think he just needed to expand the nuance. Like, it's really not something you understand unless you have a problem with it. Addiction is surprisingly actually quite common, but it's not just alcohol addiction, not just drug addiction, not just sort of narcotics. Like, you can have an addiction in a lot of different things until you actually understand what that feels like, and you're trying to like dull mental health with addiction, or I suppose addiction becomes out of the, like you were saying, the thoughts in your head, and trying to dull those. And it's as easy as buying at the supermarket to dull those feelings for a night, if not every day, every second of the day. Unless you understand that feeling, his comments are not going to resonate with you, and you're going to hear something different. But I agree, there is a bit in there that didn't quite sound right. That really was.
Well, and that I don't even think
didn't come across right.
It just didn't sound right. Is that he actually had a job to be careful with the way that he is speaking. Yeah. He actually has to hold himself to a higher standard than just your everyday person. You don't get to have, and the thing is, he is in a privileged role. he is so privileged to have so many people turn to him in their darkest moments. Like I Am Hope, they had do some similar stuff, and they really respect and always are very mindful about the people that they're serving. And I think that sometimes his ego kind of gets ahead of him, because I've also seen a few comments saying that maybe he was naive. I don't think he was naive. I just think sometimes he lets his mouth run a bit too long and then is a bit too egotistical to run it back a little. And he could really learn to do that, and it'd be great.
I think that's why I have a bit of an issue with that headline about his ups and downs with mental health, because he has lived experiences. Those are really important. But now he's in a position, like you say, of power, where he's running a charity that really focuses on mental health issues. So he kind of needs to be a different person, right? When you step into a CEO role of a company or a charity or whatever, you step into a different role than if you were an advocate. And
absolutely,
you definitely have different responsibilities. You definitely got to watch what you say. It's got to be really clear cut, and it's got to be, So part of me feels kind of bad for him, but at the same time, like, he kind of fucked up. So I don't know. It's at the end of the day, he's getting it into the media. People are talking about it. They're shitting on him, which I'm pretty sure he's not. He's probably used to it at this point. People are talking about it. People are correcting him, and they're coming out and they're saying, this is what he meant. What the exact quote was is not okay. And I think that's...
the amount of times he's done
important.
this kind of stuff is just... I think that's what makes him...
Like someone said, it doesn't help that he's had some controversies with the way he got his 24 million. Totally agree. That's not helping at all.
And just to actually finish off on that, with the money, I did notice there was a comment. And I just wanted to point this out because I don't think that matters. I don't think it matters because that's a different issue. I also personally don't think that having the mongrel mob being involved in the distribution of an addiction program for meth is a bad thing, because again, lived experience, people who know their communities. We may not like why and how they know their communities, but they are a part of our community, and we do have to work together. So, I understand what you're saying, but I just wanted to say respectfully, this is not that issue. And we don't need to make this about a Labour or national. It's just, if you're going to be reckless with the way that you're speaking about your charity that has received public funding, be prepared for people to question whether you should receive that funding.
Yeah. Or you should be in the position of power.
Exactly.
Or running it. Yeah. So... yeah, what a very, very interesting, an interesting thing. And I feel like in our space, pretty much. It's the way you receive the funding.
Exactly.
Thanks, Brian. I feel like with us in mental health issues, we are, our generation specifically, I think we are so much better at talking about the nuances of addiction, mental health issues, depression, anxiety, and we are much better understanding the nuances, and I think we have a lot more people who have lived experiences and are open to sharing those lived experiences. Like you and I are perfect examples of that. Like we're not going to hide ourselves from doing therapy and saying what's good for people.
Everyone should have therapy. Like I would love if we could all be in therapy, because it's so helpful and it's amazing. And it doesn't matter if you're doing well or you're struggling. It's always good to have that just there to help you work through this crazy world.
Yeah. And it is a real shame that it is not accessible to everyone. I Am Hope is one of those charities that is trying to change that. And yes, it's going to take a ton of money, but yeah, it's still a topic that needs discussion. We still need more people in the health system. We still need people in the mental health system. And
also, just one last comment. That 24 seems a lot for one charity, but what about the charity landlords?
Bugger all.
They were a charity.
It's 24 million is nothing.
No.
I've worked for two charities in my small career. Trust me, that money does not go far, especially when you are paying for other people's medical and housing and so many other needs. It is very expensive. And to be able to put that out to so many people yeah, it's hard work. It's hard work. It's really expensive work, but it's work that needs to be done. And I think if anyone was to look at those budget numbers that came out earlier this year, you will see that 24 million is a blip. It is tiny compared to what kind of money we put into other sectors.
Oh yeah.
When you start into like hundreds of millions, maybe we could start having a chat. But
I mean, I don't know the exact what these numbers are, but I mean, if that's the case, I mean, I could believe that because I mean, you get a few people on 50K, 60K.
Exactly. If you just assume everyone's on a 50 or 60, that's
Exactly.
And if you think that might be 250 to 500 clinicians, counselors, they cost an arm and leg. So, yeah. Anyways, we should stop talking about this because it's depressing. And let's be honest, you and I have a lot of personal opinions, but at the end of the day,
I mean, actually, before we finish, we'll there was one thing we're going to finish on so that we don't have to talk about Mike King, because I have to show you this image that me and my flatmate worked on last night.
Oh.
My flatmate pointed out that the bush kind of looked like Marge Simpson's hair, so there you go.
Oh no! Oh, talk about clipped out of context.
Yeah, so that took way more time than I would like to admit, but
hey, it's worth it. Sometimes the memes are worth it. All right, we've made it past the hour. We are officially heading towards the 90-minute hour. I think we've officially fulfilled our promise, our obligation. All right, what's your positive news story to end us off with?
Okay, oh my gosh, I almost wasn't prepared for that. Just
a small one. Just a little bit of noise.
It's technically 2 bits, but they're kind of in the same vein. So I thought we would just talk about. Well, actually, no, we're going to talk about this one because this one's the main one in case we don't get time. So this came out. This is a little bit older, but I really think that we need to talk about it because it's such an amazing story. Obviously, we've been talking a lot about kids in school, and I know, right? Look at this awesome homie over
Love
here.
that mullet.
Looking yeah. I mean, my mullet needs refining. I need to work on mine.
This is better, sorry.
I know. I will never be as cool as this guy. But yeah, so this is this amazing story about why Wednesdays have become these students' favorite day at school. And I'm sure we remember that the government liked to say that, we needed to prioritize maths and English and that arts is not a priority. But here we have an amazing example of how this school has actually increased student attendance by creating one day of the week where students get to forget about reading, writing, and maths that we know National loves so much, and they get to spend their time making jewelry, weightlifting, barbering, broadcasting, or one of many other options, which, like, honestly, kids have some cool subjects now. Like, some kids get taught how to, like, code and, like, learn, like, Minecraft stuff, and I'm like, so jealous. But,
so where's the school?
So this is a South Auckland school. Papakura. Yeah, Papakura.
Nice.
And so so they go and they get to work on a bunch of things, and they've shown that the attendance has seen a 34% decrease in chronic truancy.
Nice.
Which is defined
That's what we want to see.
Exactly, which is defined as students whose average was less than 70%. So,
That's pretty good. Can I just point out a little quote up there as well? If you just scroll up just before that one sentence. When asked if he was sure it would sell for that much money, he was confident, because it's Māori. Fuck yeah, that's some pride right there.
Hell yeah. And the thing is, I love that. And that's the thing is, you can see, like these kids are clearly confident. They're proud of the work that they're producing, which like is just, amazing, like what that's going to do for their confidence, all of the, flow on effects that that's going to have on their well-being is just like amazing. And it's just exciting to see that, in amongst all of the things that have been going on, we just have a very clear example of how, like, you know, if we give people the option to try different things, you know, find their passions, find, you know, fun things to do, you know, also the amount of skills that you learn from these types
Yeah.
of, you know, things that are applicable in so many areas, like,
Yeah.
you know, and it's
And
crazy
it's the
amount of learning
crossover
you do.
of it's these really specialized skills that you start to see a crossover of literacy, mathematics. It basically start to apply it, right? Science, mathematics, and English, or sort of literacy. You really start to apply those in these kind of subjects.
Exactly.
And that for me was really important because I sucked at basic mathematics. But as soon as it became part of art or design specifically, and I had to know how to halve the size of an A4 and know how to like
Yes.
geometry and stuff like that, that's when my brain turned on.
Oh,
And
hell
then
yeah.
also with sewing, the amount of freaking geometry I had to do with
Oh,
sewing. And I'm like
yes.
sitting here trying to explain how a double circle works to Jonathan. And I'm like, I have to do the math. This is what I'm trying to make. And he's a math teacher. And he's like, I don't understand what you're trying to do. And I'm like, it works. It works. I just don't understand how to do the math.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the
Very
thing is,
important.
like, yeah, there are so many applications. Like these kids here, you know, they're doing their Kura FM, you know. So think about the way that they're
Hell
probably
yeah.
thinking about how are they going to, you know, structure their are they going to write scripts? Are they going to, you know, like they're going to get improv? There's so many just valuable
And soft
like
skills too. How to talk to people, how to understand, how to listen, how to rebuttal, how to debate, how to keep to a time schedule, which we're great at.
Exactly here, like you say, you know, improved attendance, engagement. It's, you know, help them build relationships with each other. This school's average had increased from 70% in the last in term 3 last year to 77%. You know, like 7 points is good. We need that. And like you say, there are so many ways that, like, and because that's the thing is, you know, like I think for me what I find to be the most important is, and I know that Pat and Chewy have talked about it before, is that school is made one way for a certain group of people that it works for, but there are so many people that school does not really work for. You know, you said thing. I was a similar thing. You know, I was a very creative kid. I learned more through practical, like, learning with my hands elements, as well as like, and I mean also if we think about it, you know, to bring it back to Te Tiriti, part of Te Ao Māori, learning wasn't just you sit down, you're told something, you learn it. Learning is very much like a spiritual practice that you got to participate in, because that's how you fully understand what you're doing. You know, the amount of times that, you know, I was a kid and I would learn, like you say, sewing, and the amount of times, you know, where I'm running around and I'm like, oh no, something's happened, so I can just whip out, you know, some needle and thread, fix some things together, or, you know, get that good
Such a
old Kiwi
valuable
ingenuity
skill
going.
too.
Yeah,
Just being able to like sew back on a button instead of being like, well, I can't wear this anymore. Throw it out.
Yeah.
Be like, no, just stick a button in it. Fix up the hole in your jeans. It's easy.
Yeah, or put a
Learn
patch
how to
on it,
hand
make
sew.
it fun.
Put a
you
patch
know,
on it.
like,
Make it cool. Yeah.
I mean, I literally had a friend who messaged me one night and was like, oh, do you want to come watch the Star Wars movie tomorrow? And I went, I bet. I hand sewed an entire Star Wars cosplay in one night.
I've
You
done
think I
that.
would have
I've
learned that on
I've
the
done
national?
pre-con night before cosplays. I don't recommend it.
Oh,
But
no,
you can
it's
do it.
stressful.
Yeah. For sure.
And yeah, I mean, that's the thing is there's so many ways that people can learn. And I mean, you know, people have different ways of learning, different ways of understanding. And I think we need to value those, the multimodal way that people can learn, you know,
Yeah.
not just put it into these specific things are what we value and the rest is just nice to haves, because it's
Yeah.
not.
No. There is a lot of value in the arts. I can tell you that from building a career from it and knowing that I was going to be a designer at the age of bloody 9. I have worked with Photoshop for, I think I worked out almost 20 plus years, and I'm 30.
Damn.
Well over half my life, I have known how to use Photoshop.
Damn. I mean, I think I played around with Photoshop when I was like, maybe like 2007. but like
And not just Photoshop. Pre that, it was like macros with PowerPoint and making these like house tours with clip art and like
to be fair, PowerPoint
making
that was
magazines
my
and shit.
I love
Yeah.
playing with word art and just getting creative as a kid.
What a fun
you know,
time. Making websites on Word, now that's a skill.
oh hell yeah.
So yeah, there's some value in the arts for sure. Cool.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that amazing positive story. Now, for those of you who are still here, you guys get a fun little thing that I get to do every bloody week. I got to do this last week, but Pat did not get to show it. So I made an extra long one for you. What is she possibly talking about? I'm calling this the weekly highlights, which is the best clips from the week. So we will both be cracking up. So I think we're going to have to mute ourselves.
Oh, yeah,
But,
no, I will. Don't worry, I was going to. I
you're
laugh
here-
every time.
If you're here in this chat, remember this. You are here for the very first Friday night highlight reel. Are you ready for this? Are you ready, children? Also, tell me if I need to turn it up. That's a really terrible one.
Fun. No, welcome back to another edition of Big Hero News. Hey, Chewy, how are you? Sorry, I'm in fast forward mode.
It's fine. It's your show. You carry on.
It's not my show. It's our show. It's the show for the people.
Is it Tuesday?
It's Chewy's day
It's
today.
Tuesday, isn't it?
We'll look at some of this tomorrow night. I don't think I've seen Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Tyrannosaurus.
I put some effort into that one by yelling at Christopher Luxon.
Nice.
I yelled at Christopher Luxon so hard. I'm going to use the scientific method. I'm going to see if yelling at Erica Stanford in the morning will nourish me for the rest of the day.
I am
I'd kind of.
Is it loud enough for people? I don't know if they could hear it that loud. Is it still too quiet, guys? Oh, Ems, you've muted yourself, doll.
Hang on. Let me sort my shit
So
out.
quiet that Ems stopped talking.
You're
But no,
really
I
loud.
think it might have been a tiny bit too
Yeah.
quiet for some reason.
I don't know how to fix that. Because it's as loud as it goes. All right, turn up your volume, people.
Yeah, we'll mute ourselves and then turn it back down once it stops. All right, please.
I'm gonna boost it and see what happens. Oh, hang on, that's not gonna work. Yeah, you'll be fine. Just turn it up.
Yeah, let's roll it. Roll it.
Alrighty, round two, people. Start from the beginning. All right.
Fun. No, welcome back to another edition of Big Hero News. Hey, Chewy, how are you? Sorry, I'm in fast forward mode.
It's fine. It's your show. You carry on.
It's not my show. It's our show. It's the show for the people.
Is it Tuesday?
It's Chewy's day
It's
today.
Tuesday, isn't it?
We'll look at some of this tomorrow night. I don't think I've seen Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Tyrannosaurus.
I put some effort into that one by yelling at Christopher Luxon.
Nice.
I yelled at Christopher Luxon so hard. I'm going to use the scientific method. I'm going to see if yelling at Erica Stanford in the morning will nourish me for the rest of the day.
I am
I'd kind of like to echo that as well, because
on my bunghole. Sorry.
This is one of those times that I'm really, really glad we're a tiny little island on the butt cheek of the world.
But we think very differently from these people.
Fuck off. Fucking Macho Man was better anyway.
Stop it.
I am a 44-year-old man, and I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah. Bugger
And
it.
that's my rant.
So these guys that go on and 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 on. What are we doing? Where are we? What's this all about? Oh, I think you that one. That's pretty cool, eh? Donkey for our deputy. That was just chef's kiss. You ready, Fano? Here we go.
Oh, it's so good. What you can't see is the migrant workers that we have bonded to use the equipment. What, first or second date? No, I'm not going to use the dating analogy. That's wrong or weird and goes to a bad place.
Yeah,
very
weird.
Moving on.
The internet has delivered beautifully today on Donald Trump and McDonald's memes. This is what it would actually look like for Donald Trump to work at McDonald's. It's good.
Yeah, sorry, I got to do Trump dance.
And fade him down. Give it a few minutes and see if people find us. Keep going.
Don't clip that. Don't clip that.
Don't clip what?
Nothing.
Speaking of dick moves, what a fantastic segue.
Taunted him by making an L sign on his forehead with his finger and thumb.
The shape of an L on his forehead.
L on your forehead? Sorry.
So, I mean, this Mean Girl shit.
Again, yes.
Sheesh, bro. Don't tell people that. Wet, dry. It's like, moist. Where in between is where you find the truth.
Tune in next week where we dig into the wet, dry issue. You know how people, they go to AA or NA, they give up the drugs and might have backslid a little bit, downloaded the latest Call of Duty.
What about Call of Duty?
Yeah,
because you know,
Duty.
Poo jokes are always funny.
Regan here says it's clearly pro-wet.
Oh, God.
Big moist news.
Speaking of, no. No, not speaking of anything.
Oh no.
Let's take a note of the corners we stand in.
No, I don't like this.
What have you done?
Because I don't like it. Bowls. That's it.
Fucking bowls, though.
Fucking bowls, though.
Fucking bowls. I still. Oh, sorry, guys. We came in probably pretty hot there. You might want to turn us down again. Sorry about that. I'll get that for next time. I've seen that probably like 10 times now, and it's still fucking.
I know, right?
So
it's
funny
every time. And also,
fucking
I saw
bowls,
a comment that said, "Are we taking the piss?" Absolutely, we're taking the piss.
I got the okay from both of them, and they've seen it. So.
Exactly. We got approval. They approved and loved the idea. Don't worry. It's because that's the whole point of the Friday show. Yes, you will get news. Yes, you will get some serious rants about issues that are genuinely important. But also, we want to
pay homage.
We want to
pay
kind of be
homage
able to
to
go into the weekend and have a bit of a, just a nice, less heavy sleep tonight.
Hell yeah. Oh, that's cool. Any more super chats you want to throw up before we end the night? I think we've done pretty well. 1.5.
We have another Friday Fiver from David Thompson. Thank you so much. Appreciating all the love, guys. You guys are so awesome. This comment: if Luxon was on the decks, I'd cough up my MDMA and leave.
Oh, man.
So fire. And I think
so relevant.
May be my favorite comment of the night because so real for that. Also, thank you to the love that everyone has been. I've been seeing all the comments and all the sweet things that you have all been saying, and I really appreciate it. It's so lovely. And then we've got another one. Great show, Friday peeps. You both did a boss job. Didn't even miss Nala much. And honestly,
thanks, Gareth.
Probably the biggest compliment you could give us because
I'll give you an AI, Nala.
Yeah,
I do have 2 cats, and when it gets warmer, they will be running around. So it would be more like find the cat.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to we're the childless cat ladies, I guess, that talk about. So, our cats probably won't show up, unfortunately. And this one was a bit random, but not a super chat, but just an awesome thing to learn that there has been an awesome program running that has been helping people become meth-free in the community. We love to see that. That's really awesome. Thank you for teaching me about that. I'll have to look into it.
Good on you.
Awesome vibes, everyone. Love it.
Sweet. Oh, shall we end up the show? Again, don't know what the volume's going to do, but it's our favourite time of the evening, I think. Everybody's favourite time of the night. I don't know if this will auto play, so I'm just gonna. What's gonna happen? Oh, cool. Sweetums. And if we do this, we do one of these. This one.
Help us settle a debate, whether it be thoughtful or funny, even if we're all creatures of hate. It's a fine line that we're walking together. For better, push aside the temptation to berate. Let's take a note of the corners we stand in. As many points as the hairs on my chinny chin chin. When the news that we're watching is hairy, knowing all the things that we need to be wary of. Like the rich have the hand out for rewards.
guys, for tuning in. This has been so much fun. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Hope we brought a bit of fun to your Fridays. I'm going to enjoy the weekend ahead. Anything to say, Magenta, there?
Well, we just got one last final super chat at the end. Thank you so much to the POM88. BHN Cherry Pop. Great show, guys. The usual chaos. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that, guys. Like, it's awesome to see you guys. Thank you for having us, and I guess
we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Yeah. Until then, keep cool till after school, I guess.
Ciao. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.
Taki te.